Today was a rare free day in Hội An, so I jumped at the chance to drift along the Thu Bồn River. What started as a simple cruise turned into an unexpected adventure. I ended up joining another tour group, and before long we were laughing, swapping stories, and soaking in the river breeze together. It was one of those spontaneous moments that makes travel feel magical. Along the way, we hopped off our main boat and slipped into small, round basket boats, caracals, perfect for gliding through the narrow, winding channels. The ride felt instantly more intimate, almost like we were sneaking into the hidden veins of the river. We eventually pulled up to the captain's home for lunch, where his family welcomed us with warm smiles and incredible food. Afterward, he invited us inside to see how locals truly live, simple, proud, and deeply connected to the water. On our way back to the dock, his wonderful father stepped out and gave us a hands-on lesson in casting fishing nets, showing off a skill he's clearly mastered over a lifetime. It was one of those rare moments where a tour turns into a genuine cultural exchange. I drifted awake in the middle of the night to the sound of a heavy downpour. The rain was falling so steadily on the foliage outside, and it almost sounded like a soft waterfall right beyond my front door. By the next morning, the storm had vanished, leaving only a few wisps of cloud drifting across a brightening sky. Patches of blue opened overhead as I made my way down to the dock, where I was set to meet another tour group who had chartered a boat for a cruise along the Thu Bồn River. After a few quick introductions, we cast off from the dock and eased into the current. The engine hummed beneath us as the boat began its steady glide eastward, cutting through the calm morning water. The Thu Bồn River stretched out ahead, wide, bright, and full of promise, pulling us into the day's adventure. As we cruised along the Thu Bồn River, the landscape unfolded in slow, beautiful layers. The morning light shimmered across the wide, gentle flowing water. Fishing boats drifted past, some with bright hulls, others weathered by years on the river, each one carrying a glimpse of daily life in central Vietnam. Along the banks, palm trees leaned toward the water, their fronds swaying in the soft breeze. As we approached the moonlit wharf bridge, its concrete span came into clear view above the river, its graceful arcs stretching across the water like a quiet landmark of the port district. The structure marks one of the main crossings in the port district, carrying steady traffic between the riverbanks. Our boat continued forward at a slow pace, passing directly beneath the bridge's underside before emerging on the far side and continuing downriver. Farther ahead, the river widened, revealing the quiet charm that has made this waterway the lifeline of Hội An for centuries. Every bend brought something new, a cluster of traditional homes, a flash of lantern colors drying in the sun, or the distant silhouette of the ancient town where the river has shaped culture, trade, and tradition for generations. Cruising eastward, it felt less like a journey and more like drifting through a living postcard, peaceful, vibrant, and full of stories carried by the current. Here we glide past a newly built extension of a riverside resort, its long row of fresh cabins all facing the water. The clean lines, bright facades, and uninterrupted river views make it clear this development was designed with the scenery in mind. Each cabin positioned like a front row seat to life along the Thu Bồn. We continue sailing down the Thu Bồn, weaving past clusters of fishing boats and the occasional tourist vessel drifting along the torrent. After a while, our boat angles toward the shore, slowing as we approach a small riverside landing. From here, we carefully transfer into the round basket boats, caracals, ready for a more intimate glide through the narrow, winding channels ahead. Our little caracal was steered by an elderly woman whose skill was immediately obvious. She guided us toward the mouth of the narrow channel with calm, practiced confidence. As we approached the entrance, several other basket boats emerged from the shade of the palms, their passengers finishing up their tour and drifting back into the open river. The brief exchange felt like a passing of the torch as we slipped forward to begin our own journey into the winding waterways. As we drift deeper into the channel, groves of nipa palms rise on both sides of us, their long fronds arching overhead like a living canopy. These lush green walls aren't coconut trees at all, but often referred to as water coconut trees, a mangrove species that thrives in the tidal waters of central Vietnam. Their sweeping fronds created a natural tunnel. We passed by the long, arching branches of the nipa palms, each one ending in a heavy, round cluster of fruit. Up close, these globes look almost like giant brown pine cones, packed tightly with dozens of individual pods. Locals split them open with a quick swing of a machete, revealing the soft, jelly-like fruit inside, mildly sweet with a flavor that hints at young coconut. It's one of those simple river delicacies you'd never notice unless someone showed you where to look. As we glide deeper into the channel, more tourists appear, their basket boats drifting back toward the main river. Then, in a quiet bend of the waterway, our little group comes to a gentle stop. Here, our boat captain reveals one of the river's hidden treats, the heavy nipa fruit clusters hanging from the palms. With a practiced swing of his machete, he cracks open the hardened pods to show the soft, coconut-flavored gems inside, an unexpected delicacy waiting for anyone who knows the secret. One by one, he split open the heavy fruit pods with quick, confident strikes, revealing the delicate, translucent flesh hidden inside. He passed each piece around our group, giving all of us a chance to taste the soft, coconut-flavored center, sweet, cool, and completely unexpected from something that looked so tough on the outside. Water coconuts develop a thick, fibrous outer shell that protects the seed as it matures in the mangrove environment. Once opened, the contrast is striking. Inside that tough casing is a thin layer of translucent, jelly-like flesh. The texture is soft and slightly elastic, and the flavor is mild, less sweet than a mature coconut, with a light, watery freshness. It's a subtle taste, but because it's surrounded by such a rugged exterior, the delicacy of the flesh feels almost surprising. Tasting it gives you a clear sense of how the plant stores moisture and nutrients while surviving in brackish, shifting tides. Once the coconut tasting wrapped up, our guides surprised us with a pair of handmade gifts, a tiny cricket and a delicate flower, each fashioned entirely from folded palm fronds. They slipped the creations onto our hands like rings, one on each side. Up close, you could see how cleverly they were made. No glue, no string, just precise folds and tight bends holding everything in place. Simple materials, but crafted with the kind of skill that turns a quick demonstration into a small moment of wonder. We paddled our way back toward the boat, gliding silently and enjoying the sights along the way. And once I climbed aboard, one of the ladies in our group decided she wanted to try spinning in a caracal. Our guide didn't hesitate. She gave her a few playful twirls and everyone burst out laughing. A moment later, we stepped off the boat again, this time onto a narrow concrete dock on the opposite side. A small path led us toward a local residence, where we were welcomed into an open-air patio. As soon as we sat down, they began serving a home-cooked lunch, fresh, comforting dishes prepared just for our group. After a delicious lunch, we boarded our main boat again and began heading back toward the center of Hội An. But along the way, our captain made an unexpected detour. He brought us to his own home, where he lives with his elderly father. They welcomed us inside, giving us a rare look at everyday life in a Vietnamese household. The rooms were simple, but full of meaning. Family altars honoring deities and ancestors, and on the wall, several certificates proudly displaying his father's past awards for expert fishing net casting. His father turned out to be a gentle, gracious host, answering all our questions through our guide, who translated for us. It was one of those moments where a quick stop becomes something personal and unforgettable. The house was filled with handmade miniature boats, fishing nets, and tiny pieces of fishing gear, each one crafted from thin strips of bamboo. Up close, you could see the precision in every fold and binding. These weren't simple souvenirs, they were intricate, skillful recreations of the tools and boats used on the river, all rendered in delicate miniature form. Outside the house, more handmade arts and crafts hung from the walls and the roof, pieces inspired by Hội An's riverside life and its deep fishing traditions. After taking a few photos with the father, we made our way back toward the boat, ready to continue the journey back into town. On the ride back, the captain's father joined us on the boat, settling in quietly at the front. As we drifted into the middle of the river, he suddenly stood up with the confidence of someone who has spent a lifetime on the water. He paused and made sure every one of us had our cameras ready. Once we were all set, he gathered the net with practiced ease, preparing to show us the skill that had earned him so much recognition over the years. It was the same award-winning technique, fluid, precise, and almost effortless. Watching the net bloom out over the river felt like witnessing a piece of living heritage, a skill honed over decades and shared with us in the most authentic way possible. His casting technique was flawless, smooth, confident, and perfectly executed. But the spot wasn't ideal. On that throw, the only thing he managed to catch was a tiny minnow. We all leaned in, wanting to film it and gently release it back into the river, but the little guy had other plans. He kept flipping and darting around on the deck of the boat pat, making it surprisingly tricky for us to grab him. It turned into this funny, unexpected scramble before we finally managed to get him back into the water. After his demonstration, the father asked if any of us wanted to give it a try. I figured, why not? It's not every day you get coached by a master. He guided me patiently, helping arrange the folds of the net in my hands and draping part of it over my shoulder, just the way he'd done 1,000 times before. With his nod of encouragement, I gave it my best shot, and let's just say the results were far from award-winning. My throw was a tiny, amateur effort, and half the net ended up flopping onto the boat deck instead. Everyone laughed, including me. It was clumsy, but unforgettable. We made our way back under the moonlit wharf bridge as we approached the same dock where our journey had begun. Stepping off the boat felt like returning from a small adventure within an adventure. It had been an incredible experience, sailing along the Thu Bồn, tasting the delicate flesh of water coconuts, stepping inside a Vietnamese family's home to see how they live, and even learning the basics of net casting from a true master. All in all, it was one of those days that stays with you long after the river has gone quiet.